A commercial court in London has ordered the release of $200 million used as a deposit in the case against Process and Industrial Development, that's P&ID Limited, to the Nigerian government.
According to the governor of the central bank, Godwin Emefiele, the ruling follows the establishment of a prima facie case of fraud before the court. Mr. Emefiele said the release will further enhance the nation's management of the exchange rate of its domestic currency while ensuring monetary and price stability.
He added that it is further a significant victory for Nigeria in the ongoing fight to overturn the $10 billion award procured through fraud and corruption by P&ID and former government officials. The court also rejected P&ID's application to increase the guarantee. UK Solicitor Olufemi Aina is in the studio to give us insight into all of this. Good morning, nice to see you.
Good morning.
Great.
Nice to see you again.
Now, how much of a game changer is this development now? Because we see a lot of positive reaction amongst Nigerians.
Yes, I know. They should be excited. And I'm equally excited as well. But having said that, the dynamics is changing. Okay. And it's the little drop that makes the mighty ocean. What Nigeria is doing, they are still on the right track. You will recall that this 200 million wasn't an award as it is being stipulated by some section of the press. Okay. When Justice Christopher Butcher granted Nigeria a stay of execution sometimes last year, he said Nigeria should deposit 200 million. That money will be in the court front office, as we normally call it. And this is what normally happens. Sometimes lawyers get damages for clients. You don't see the client because they've moved to another country and you can't contact them. What you do, you deposit that money in the court front office. Now, after a while, they can come back and make an application to have the money back. And you will recall in this instance, in July 2020, Justice Rose Cranston was able to find that Nigeria has put a prima facie case against the P&ID people. So based on that, Nigeria now made an application to have the 200 million deposited at the cost front office back.
So is us just having our money back?
But it's not limited to that. You have your costs as well, because 70,000 was awarded in Nigerian favor. Don't forget, previously, the judge awarded 1.5 million as part of the cost, as an interim cost. But Nigeria is likely to get more than that because the cost of this case might have gone to 2 point something. But the judge just made what is called summary assessment that, look, we will give you 1.5 now, then you go for what is called detailed assessment later. But for now, what is in the kit is about 1.5 million plus the 70,000 pounds were recently awarded. What Nigeria needs to do now, moving on, is that all the people who were bribed to get us into this situation, either we ask them to pay the money back, we add that to the 1.5 million, you know, by the time you pick here and there.
But do you see Nigeria doing that? And are you saying that this does not put a spin to the case? It doesn't change anything major?
No. It doesn't change anything major because don't forget there is still going to be a substantive hearing about the fraud. But it may well be the matter will be settled one way or the other. But what I'm saying, Nigeria is not going to get damages in this case. What Nigeria will get in the long run is that you won't have to pay the 10 billion, which was awarded, and then you get all your legal costs back. But what I'm saying is that, look, Nigeria has lost a lot of money into this. Somebody was paid, a senior advocate was paid $2 million legal costs. He made a mess of the case because he didn't conduct the case with adequate competence. Now, you can ask him that, look, come and give us 500,000 back. Mrs. Falakemi Adelore, she collected a bribe of $100,000. Ask her to pay the money back. One Mr. Okechukwu Ogine, he collected $100,000 bribe. Ask him to pay the money back. One Mr. Tijani, they put $50,000 in his car boot, and they asked, look, what is this money for? The response was that we look after our people. Ask him to pay the money back. So by the time you go around, you see, we don't want these people to go to prison. But what I'm saying is that they need to pay that money back because it's the money that belongs to them.
But do you see Nigeria perhaps attempting to achieve that?
That is a major concern because, you know, nobody knows what's going to happen in 2023. And the Attorney General said the investigation is still going on. And I'm very concerned. How long is that going to take? Are we going to continue investigating these people to the end of the earth? Considering what we have now, it's enough to nail the senior advocate. It's enough to nail all these characters, including Mrs. Tiger. And it is very concerning that these three people connived together, went to negotiate with P&ID people to settle this case out of court. And the negotiation is even curious. They offer 2 million to P&ID people, and they even offer them oil block. Can you imagine your country offering your natural resources in order to settle a case? That is a matter of concern.
But beyond the issue of paying back this money, pay back the money, Nigerians are even saying there has to be something, a punishment or a prosecution process to act as deterrent going forward.
Yes, and those who are, don't forget, Mrs. Grace Tiger was actually charged to the Federal High Court, and the case is still ongoing, so we can't talk too much about her. The other people, Falakemi, Adelore, Okechukwu, Ogune, by way of an extension, the senior advocate of Nigeria, Mr. Olashukwu Shashore, who was the former commissioner for justice, these people need to be charged to court because in Nigeria it's an offense to offer bribe. And if you look at paragraph 59 of the judgment, the judge actually said, Mr. Shashore, actually pay that 100,000 bribe to these people in order to buy the asylum.
Yeah,
and
but from the reports, they said they were just gifts.
Well, Mrs. Falakemi, her explanation was that it was unsolicited gift. Mr. Okechukwu Ogine said it was a loan. Now, whether Shashore is the central bank granting loan is a matter which we cannot discuss here. So what I'm saying, the nut and point of my point is that all these people connive together, and the way they were even putting pressure on the federal government of Nigeria to settle this case with these people is another matter of curiosity. And finally, my own major concern, as a senior advocate of Nigeria, you were paid $2 million, and at the end of the day, you conducted the case with a crass incompetence. And competence demands constant attention. The fact that somebody has been doing one thing over and over doesn't mean they will continue to be competent. That's why you send them on training. That's why lawyers go on what you call continuous professional development courses here and there. So competence demands constant attention, and the people who put Nigeria in this mess, all of them needs to give an account.
Now, a lot of Nigerians are concerned because they are expecting that the government, since it is saying that it is fighting corruption, would perhaps set a precedence, especially with persons involved in this case. What concerns do you have with that? Because they have said that there's been the Malabu oil scam and all of that, not much was seen to be done, and so many other cases. The justice system is of a concern to a majority of persons.
Yes.
How do we set a precedence with this such that issues like this do not come up again?
I'm glad you asked me that question. What we need to do is this will send a message to people who are coming to this country in order to get a contract that, look, if you think you can just come in with any fake documents, bribe government officials, and then we award you contracts which you have no intention to perform, and then you go abroad and ask for damages or go for arbitration so that Nigeria can just give you a blank check. This will send a signal to them that, look, things are not the same again. And it's not limited to that. At the same time, we need to send a powerful message to government officials to let them know that, look, one day the bubble will burst, and that day you may end up in prison. And I must say this, and I must say it, repeat it for the sake of emphasis. In this country, there are people we are supposed to lock up and throw the key in the ocean. When we find the key, we release them. And those people, they are the ones taking decisions on our behalf. How can you imagine a legal director in an NMPC receiving medical expenses from P&ID and making recommendations for a big contract such as this to be awarded to the company? And it is even disturbing that at the end of the day, somebody raised a concern at the initial stage that these people are not competent. And you have a Minister of Petroleum Resources saying, forget that, award the contract to them. Now, this is the issue. The Attorney General needs to keep his eye on the ball. If you take your eye off the ball, a lot of things is going to happen. And that is where we are.
Now, there is also another concern which you will make us understand. This contract is meant to be executed in Nigeria.
Exactly.
And there are also Nigerian factors. The fact that there is a P&ID, let us assume that it's a competent company and is going to execute the project. But in the case where there are breaches in the agreement, why would the court outside of the jurisdiction of Nigeria see to the issue? Make us understand.
But the issue is this. First of all, when you have issues of this nature, the first starting point is to go back to the agreement. You have a contract with TVC. If there is a problem and you come to me, the first thing I'm going to ask you, let me see your contract of employment.
Absolutely.
And that is the starting point. And if there is a clause in the contract that says, should there be a dispute, we will go to arbitration, but the seat of arbitration will be in London or America. That is the agreement. That's what is going to happen. And in fairness to Mr. Ashoshire, the senior advocate who was engaged by Nigeria, that was one of his first starting points when he raised objection, that, look, this shouldn't happen in London, it should be here. But they said, no, look at the agreement. And the second point is that when you are drafting this sort of agreement, it is not something you just sit down and you do it. Missing a word, such as not, can cause all sorts of problems. That is why lawyers have a second pair of eye, that once you do the agreement, you pass it to somebody to look at. There are things you will overlook and that person will spot it. And that is the way it's supposed to be. And also, the Attorney General of the Federation needs to send a circular to government officials that, look, when there is a situation of this nature, you must refer to him to give the go-ahead.
Now, you mentioned that the Attorney General must keep his eyes on the ball.
Yes.
How do you mean? Because a lot of Nigerians are beginning to be hopeful that at the end of the day, this might swing in favor of Nigeria.
Yes, keeping his eye on the ball is that, you see, this is a mess from the beginning. Let's just be realistic. And the next question that flows from that is that how did we get into this stage? And the only reason why it happened is because people did not even follow the proper procedure. You see, it's one thing to have a handbook for your employee. It's one thing for them to abide by the spirit of the handbook and follow the procedure. What happened? How can government officials sign a contract with P&ID without referring to the office of the Attorney General? That is one of the reasons why I said the Attorney General needs to keep his eye on the ball and make sure that this doesn't happen again. And otherwise, so as to avoid the sort of situation we are in
the future.
All right. UK Solicitor Olufemi Aina, thank you so much for your time on the program.
Yeah, thank you.